There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment. And here, we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to the show, everybody. I've got a wonderful new announcement to make as well. But before I go there, Rochelle, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's so good to be back. I missed it, and it went by so fast. So just having a really happy week. And I'm excited for this show because we've got to meet her before.
We did. Yes, indeed. She is so dynamic that we had to have her back again. Would you like to introduce her so that we can pronounce her name appropriately?
Yes, I would love to. We have again Tracy Smaldino here with us today. She's got a little something going on, Trauma Rock Stars, and a podcast and all the things. So Tracy, tell us exactly what is going on with you as of now.
Well, thank you, my friends. I'm so glad to see your faces again, having me back. I love you guys. But yeah, I've just the podcast Trauma Rock Stars has been doing really, really well. I just can't believe how blessed I've been with the guests I've had on. To say that I've learned from each one of them is an understatement. They're all so inspiring, and all their journeys. I mean, I've had physicians on, psychotherapists, I mean, you name it, all over the board. And their healing journeys have been so incredible and inspiring for me and for everybody. Their message, you can't not get something out of each one of the episodes. Like there's not a dog out there in the episode. They're all so amazing. So I've just been really blessed, and these amazing people just keep falling in. When you open yourself up, the universe, works for you. And I'm just very, very blessed with it. And I'm booked like for the rest of the year. So it's so wonderful. I'm just so honored and to be in this platform,
Yeah. Well, congratulations also.
Absolutely. And but by the way, I've conducted over 3,000 interviews, and I've never had anyone come on the show and say, I've had a perfect life. Everything in my life has just gone swimmingly and happy, and I've got no trauma, and I don't know anybody who's got trauma, and I don't know why we're talking about trauma, because nobody's got trauma where I know. And I've never had that.
Right.
Because everybody has issues and one point or another.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I'm learning so much. Actually, since the last time we spoke, I've learned so much about generational trauma. And I knew about it. We all, grew up with, our grandparents. Like my grandparents went through the Great Depression. We all grew up with family members, but you never realize how that trauma is carried down to your loved ones. And I'm even learning more about, I know we tipped on it a little bit, but like past life trauma being brought in spiritually as well, and things like that. I'm learning so much about it, and it's just fascinating, because I want to like break it with me. I want the trauma to stop with me. I don't want to pass that down to any of my loved ones, so it's just amazing. Like, I know you've got a lot of experience with this too, Kevin, and, and Rochelle, I know you do. And it's just amazing, like how, when we look back at how we were raised and brought up, all with good intentions, but, if you're not healed yourself, how do you, not carry that down to others? It just,
Well, and I wanted to mention this, Tracy, because it's interesting, at least in my world, that sometimes the trauma that was brought to us by our parents and our grandparents, we make the conscious decision that, oh no, I'm not going to do that. We're going to do it. I'm going to raise my children a different way.
Yeah.
And so we do. And then that trauma skips a generation and goes to the kids, and they're like their grandparents. It is odd how it all works out, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think we all have we all have our journeys, and we all have, like you said earlier, we all have trauma. But if you're not healed, I look back at past relationships of mine, and I'm like, how can you be in a relationship when you're not healed yourself? And of course things aren't going to work out, or of course, things aren't going to go the way you expect. And it takes a really strong person to really look deep and admit those things, and admit, like, I don't ever put blame on anybody else. I'm like, this all falls on me. Like, this is my fault. I'm divorced because of me, because and I know the reasons why, and things like that. And you really need to take a hard look at yourself. But I think you can do it in a way that's loving and with grace and kindness to yourself, and say, I didn't screw up. I just wasn't healed.
You didn't know any better.
You don't know what you don't know, and we're all on these journeys. But I think, we can, now that we know, we're talking so much. I know we talked about this last time. It's mental health and dealing with trauma and stuff is so much on the forefront now, and it's not taboo. Like, people aren't afraid to talk about it anymore. And I think it's really waking up a lot of people, and they're like, okay, well, maybe I have some work to do on myself. And that's where, like, I think I was telling you, that's where the magic is. When you can really look within and say, I've got work to do. That's not a negative. Like, that is a positive. And we were all shaking our head talking about this before. Like, when you get to the other side of that healing journey, it's complete magic what happens, how your world opens up for you. The universe is just waiting for you to do that, and you've got to tell them, okay, I'm ready. I'm really going to do this. And I've had a couple setbacks, sometimes you feel like, because I feel like I'm always going to be healing. Like, we're always evolving and trying to be better. And I've had some setbacks that sometimes I felt like they were 10 steps backwards, but now I understand why, because it got me, the 11 steps forward. And so I embrace those now as a learning tool. Like, why is this happening? And I really try and journal and really get deep into my thoughts about it so I can learn from it. So I'm at the point in my journey now where I'm like, I can take anything, bring it,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and I got a question for you, Tracy. And I didn't think that this would have happened, but apparently it did, and other people saw it, and I never did. I was married for 24 years. It was the best 6 months of my life. And people said, why is he marrying his mother? And I didn't think anything about that, but as it turned out, I married my mother.
I'm sorry.
The way we both just laughed, because it's like, what can you do?
Yeah, because I had no earthly idea that was where it was going, but that's where it ended up. And it's like, oh, goodness gracious. So anyway, but that happens to a lot of us. We think we're getting out of what the experiences that we don't want, but then we end up with the experiences that we don't want in a slightly different way.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because I reflect back on some of my relationships too. And I'm like, now I wouldn't like put up with the crap I put up with, let alone even have that person in my life. Not that they're bad people at all. Like, I have nothing, they're not bad people. We're just at a different, like, in different planets, I guess, And so I think, but now I know why. I understand why I allowed these people in my life and things like that. I totally get it. And it's nothing on them. I would never put blame on them. It's my own damn fault. Right. But that's the beauty of it, is learning from that and the why. Once you can understand the why and take a big, deep look. And I don't know if I told you guys this last time we were talking, but I've really gotten into journaling with this whole, and I know you guys are really up on that too. But I was talking to my therapist, and if I'm repeating myself, let me know. But when I was talking to my therapist, we were talking about my journaling, and I'm like, I've just been struggling with it and things like that. And she's like, well, why? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel like, and I was telling her kind of the stuff I was writing in my journal. And she's like, well, that's cute, but I know that's not what you really want to say. And I'm like, you're right. And she goes, well, why are you censoring your own journal? She goes, if you want to drop, if you want to drop F-bombs, if you want to curse people out, like, you need to get it from here onto that piece of paper and do that, because that's what that journal is for. Like, she goes, why are you censoring your own journal? Like, are you afraid somebody's going to see it? And if they do, who cares? This is your journey. And what do you care? And I was like, you're right. And literally, I'll show you my journal. I started out, oh, isn't this so cute? I've got stickers. I've got
handwriting's good.
Yeah, cute highlight, like little stickers. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. Now everything, it like exactly how I feel that I probably wouldn't really verbalize, comes on this journal. And then another thing she told me, which has totally changed my entire journal experience and journey, is she goes, why don't you try journaling in the mirror? And I said, okay, I think I know where you're going with this. And she goes, take your journal, sit down, journal to yourself in the mirror. You're actually giving yourself like a mini therapy sesh. And did I tell you guys about this? Because it's been quite a bit since we talked.
No, you did say the magic word, which is mirror. But Tracy, and you'll find out why in a second. But first, and I got to tell you, this guy has started to follow us because he's got a connection to somebody, and he listens to a lot of shows. And Rochelle, would you like to introduce this fine gentleman?
Hello, Dad. I love you. He says, hello, everyone. Thank you, Tracy. I am so surprised that he's saying that right now. But thanks for being here, Dad. Stay tuned, and you can learn a lot, too.
I just want to let him know 1971 was a great year.
That was his year. Oh, look at you guys go. There's a reason.
Yeah.
Love that.
That's so cute.
You were born in 1971?
I was.
I was a freshman.
But we'll trust you.
Oh, yeah. I was a freshman in high school, and I had a terrific dream last night about all of that. But anyway, that doesn't need to be
that for another show, Kevin?
It was. Yes, anyway, it's for another show. But Rochelle, Tracy is our guest, and her last name is Small. Go ahead.
Smaldino, Tracy Smaldino. Everybody go and find her podcast, which is Trauma Rock Stars. And Tracy, thank you again so much for being here. And when we come back from this first break, I want to give you a moment to think about it. So I'm going to ask you first, really, how much your perspective on what was available as tools and tricks of working through traumas to get to the other side at 100%, not a little less than that, but ways that actually worked that brought you to a different understanding, and if it was more than you had expected to hear as you started doing the interviewing yourself.
Okay, brace yourself.
Okay.
And Rochelle, do you have any idea what I'm going to play now?
I think I do. Go ahead. Let's do it. I'm excited.
Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. A woman spent years hating the reflection in her mirror. One day, she whispered, "I am enough." Day by day, her reflection became her friend. Self-love begins with the words you tell yourself. Speak gently, because you are listening. This is brought to you by Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope come alive. And welcome everybody back to Positive Talk. And I bet you Rochelle knew that's what I was going to play, didn't you?
somehow. There's these key words that people say sometimes, and they just flow so well in this life when you're on this side of it. So I
And
love
I'm excited to talk to Tracy about how the conversation in her mirror went when she was journaling. Did you learn anything about yourself in that exchange with yourself?
It was funny because at first I was like, this is silly, but I did it because I am a good little soldier. And, it was really interesting. It kind of, how sometimes like when you're reading, you read out loud, you absorb things differently. So that's what I was basically doing. I was journaling out loud and I was kind of repeating what I was writing. And then I was looking at myself, talking to myself. It really was, it elevated the experience, I guess is the best way. And I don't do it all the time, but I try and do it at least twice a week. Because it really does take it to a different level. And you get like this download of information that you probably wouldn't have got if you were just rushing with the pen and paper trying to get something on there. So it's kind of like when, we take our time for our meditation practice. It's kind of the same type of thing. You need to take time to do that as well. So I encourage anyone listening and you too, to try it because it does change it a little bit.
So you just sit down in the mirror and you just
sit in front of the mirror.
Whatever's in your head, it goes on the paper, and then you just check in to make sure. I feel like I'd get so distracted. I'd put the pen and paper down, and I'd just start probably going off. And maybe that's good too, because then it still is coming out.
Yeah, you need to get it out, and that's why there's no more cutesy in my journal. It's hardcore, some of the stuff that's in there. So.
But those are all really important things because when you verbalize it and you write it down, you tend to believe it more than if you just think it. Am I right?
True, and it gets it out. It just you can let it go. If it's something that you're thinking that maybe like can be more negative or upsetting, you can get it off of your mind and onto a piece of paper, and then you close the book and it's gone and you let it go. You're done. And that's all really the universe needs, for you to do that. And I challenge myself now to be more present and do that and get these things out. And it really has helped me.
And Tracy, by the way, she is the host of Trauma Rock Stars, and you can go, and it's where all podcasts are housed virtually anywhere ever and stuff. But I wanted to mention this because since the last time we talked, this has come up in our world, and I wanted to touch on it and to get your experience of it because sometimes trauma exists and can be so deep that we tend to forget it or to bury it so deeply that we don't recognize it until an event happens that triggers us back to that trauma, and then it becomes like it just happened yesterday. Rochelle, are you experienced with that?
Yes, Kevin is asking based off of me. I'm pretty sure. It was crazy too because sometimes it'll be in a dream, sometimes it'll be conscious, but there's the same feeling of everything kind of goes still and you don't really know how long it all happened for, but it is this same. It's like it's like your little tiny self came outside and is convincing you of all these things, and you're almost trying to evaluate like how am I supposed to feel? What am I supposed to think? What if this is real? Did I make this up? You go through all of these things, which I'm still going through. The only time I've experienced this. And what was weird, Tracy, is there was a lot of sadness at first. Just it was this bulb that went off, and this one thing is the reason I was so angry. Like since a little itty bitty thing, I would just meet,
Yeah.
and I understood that that all came from her being in fear. So it made me very emotional. Every time I felt myself get upset, I would just want to cry. I just knew. I was like, this is not me. This is something that I have been holding on to, and I've got to figure out how to get through it. But then it went straight to anger and then hit a wall. And I have kind of let it in a way. I'm not rushing it nor trying to let it go necessarily, but you kind of get in this like, well, what do you do with it? You know, now that you know it, well, now what type of thing?
What do you want to do with it? You know?
I haven't thought about that.
What do you want? And I mean, that's where, and depending on, your listeners, whether you believe in God or the universe or a higher power, all of it, that's where I say, ask that to guide you to the message, that you want. And I just did my very first month ago hypnotherapy session.
Oh, I'm glad. Talk about it.
You know what's crazy?
I
I have to play this, Tracy.
kind of had a feeling you were going to get excited when I mentioned it.
So this experience we're talking about that happened with me introduced me to what you just said, and I have yet to have my first session. So
Okay.
please do share.
So I was very excited because I told you guys that what catapulted my healing journey is I did MDMA therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what really got me to the other side of everything. So I'm kind of like, I want to get as deep as I can with myself and my subconscious. And so I went in, I really wanted to do a hypnotherapy session. And there's a practitioner here by me that I've actually had her on the podcast that I went to. And I went in wanting to do a past life regression because I'm fascinated by it. And so that's what I went in for. And that's not what happened at all. My guides, the universe had another plan for me, but it was unreal. It was amazing. First of all, I got to meet and see one of my guides. I'm thinking, and it's a female energy. I'm thinking it's a female. I'm thinking it's my main guide. I actually got to meet her. She very subtly would show me her face, and she took me through this journey that I never in a million years would have thought I would have gone on. Just flashbacks of my life. And I have this very strong connection with animals. I was actually through this whole journey communicating with animals. There was an elephant with me. There was a dolphin. I was actually able to speak to them, and they were with me through the whole journey. And like, we spoke telepathically. It wasn't like we were talking now, but we could completely understand each other. And I've always had this very strong connection with animals. And there was more involved with that, but they went with me on the journey because there were parts of the journey that was scary. And I didn't necessarily want to, like, you be walking into like this dark tunnel, and on the other side is what she wanted to show me. And one thing that I saw that was incredible is I was in a horrific accident, for your listeners who don't know that, when I was 12 years old, and I was the only survivor. And part of my journey, I was actually standing outside my hospital bed looking at myself right after, when I was like unconscious in a coma and everything. And I'm not going to go too deep into it because it might freak some people out, but it was so magical. The messages, like the guides were with me the whole time through when I was going through this. And that was just one little piece of it. There was so many more other elements of this journey that she took me through. And I kept saying, like, what can I call you? Like, is there a name I can call you? Because I know some people have names they know what their guides' names are. But I never got to that yet. So I'm ready to go on another journey. But I got some answers that I didn't know I needed. Hence, wanting to do the past life regression. They're like, no. I don't care if that's what you want. You're doing what we need what we want you to do. And we're taking you on this journey. We need you to see. Yeah. And it was incredible. It was an entire, like, it was so like I was well aware of everything going on while it was happening, just like with the MDMA. If I had to get up to go to the restroom, I could have, kind of thing. But it was so incredible to go through that experience. And it's like its own out of body experience, kind of.
Mhm.
Um, but I would encourage you maybe to use a platform like that to try and connect with the universe or your guide or God, whoever, you feel, and say, what message are you trying to give me here? Why are you showing me this? And you're going to see that and a whole lot more, but it's going to be what you need. It's all like the universe, you can handle it,
Yeah.
So they're not going to show you something that isn't meaningful for you. So I would highly recommend it, and I cannot wait to do another one. But I still want to do this past life regression
Eventually. See, and what's sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You
I was
make
just
a
thinking,
point.
I have to say, it's crazy that the way you just described that was a body experience, because it's not your mind controlling anything, and not even really your body. But the reason I say, Tracy, when you go through those things, and I think this can be so beneficial for so many people, is
Yes.
one, I'm not alone at all. And
Yeah.
for two, it is held in my body. My brain is wrapped around it. I understand. I've got me. But there's this body sense that's still attached energetically. And sounds just like the most beautiful way to be able to relieve that of yourself. So, Kevin, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and you don't even necessarily need to relieve it, Rochelle. You just
Yeah.
see it in a different way. So it's not like you're letting it go. It's just they're showing it to you in a completely different way than what was expected.
Well, I'm
Well,
excited.
and I gotta tell you, there's a book out there that everybody's got to get. I had Rochelle get it. It only took a year to get her to get it, and that is Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton.
Oh, hold on.
And
I'm writing it down.
So good.
Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton. He's got the Newton Institute. And if you find, and he's trained people all over the world, Tracy, if you find a Newton approved hypnotherapist, they will not only take you to a past life regression, they will take you deeper into life between lives.
Yeah,
So
that's amazing.
you get to meet your counsel on the other side. You get to have
Ooh,
a meeting with them, and also with your spirit guides that will give you all the information that you are ready for at that particular moment and nothing more, because you're still getting to learn everything while you're still here.
right.
And if you know things before you're supposed to know them, then you can kind of screw things up. So but
Yeah.
they do it as you are ready. As a matter of fact, Dr. Michael Newton has passed. There's a guy by the name of Regan Forston, and he's a Newton trained hypnotherapist. And he had another person put him under, and he went on the other side. And guess who he met?
Dr. Newton.
Michael.
And they had a great conversation about where he was going, what he was learning, and what he's going to do next. And it's a remarkable ride. And for people that say, "Oh, Kevin's full of bull crap," I I can only tell you this: they've taken over 20,000 people into this deep hypnosis, and they've all come back with roughly the same story, bits and pieces of the same thing, because that's our home. That's where we are on the other side. And if you can put that all together, by the way, you said something that your guys were talking to you telepathically.
Mm-hmm.
That's because I don't know if anybody knows this, but your spirit guides are pure energy, and they don't have vocal cords. So
Right.
they speak everything through energy.
Yes.
Their
Okay,
vibration is different though, so sometimes their voices almost sound like they have their own tone, but I'm putting a label out here for everybody, including you, Tracy, just because I love you. If you're going to read this book with an open heart and fully open mind, buckle the hell up and give yourself some time to read it, because it will transcend you within the first chapter. So just be ready for that.
Okay. I'm gonna get it right now because I'm very interested. And Kevin, you took this journey.
I have, and I haven't taken the full, because it's like a 5 hour
Yeah.
journey that you take.
That's how
And
my MDMA was.
Yeah, and I haven't done that. I have had a past life a couple of past life regressions, and that's why I know that I was, as an example, I was at the Little Bighorn, where Custer was killed in 1876, and I was one of the soldiers that was with him on that hill.
Wow.
And stuff like that. So, and I know that I just know that it's real. It's with every fiber of my being. I know that we've lived before. I know her from before. We've been told by several people that we've had many lives together, and stuff. And so I just know that it's so get that book. And I don't get a nickel out of any of it, but Journey of Souls.
It's just genuinely a damn good book.
Yeah. I'm gonna get it. And you two are magic together, so it doesn't surprise me that you connected on, other lives. It doesn't surprise me.
We'll continue to. We got a lot of work to do, Kevin.
I know. I'm working on it, dear. I'm working on it.
You got ahead of me this lifetime, so I'll be ahead of you next time.
When we come back from this break, Tracy, I want to explain to our audience why I think I came first before she came, and how that all worked. Okay. And we'll be right back in just I don't know, about a minute. What should we play, Rochelle?
I'm thinking there was one that you played last week and you said we need to play this more. Do you remember that one?
I do. I loved it, and I think I know what you're talking about. It's called Declaration.
That's the one.
And we'll be right back after this. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio Network. We're on a mission to entertain, enlighten, empower, and educate through inspiring music, dynamic conversations, and yes, laughter. Join me, Kevin McDonald, and Brashelle as we declare our freedom from hate, division, and fear, and celebrate a better way of living. Go to positivetalkradio.net to find out more. For way too long, we've allowed shadows to dictate our steps. Our clamor of division, the whisper of fear, and the harsh grip of hate. They've tried to define us. But this is our moment of truth. We remember who we truly are. Not just separate islands, but a vast ocean of shared humanity. We declare our independence from the narratives that have pulled us apart. We choose curiosity over judgment, empathy over indifference, understanding over accusation. This isn't about ignoring our differences. It's about celebrating the strength woven into our tapestry. It's about remembering that progress isn't built on exclusion, but on common ground. So let the banners of kindness fly high. Let the anthem of unity ring out. This is our declaration, our independence from what limits us, our freedom to truly connect. Because together we are stronger. And together we are free. And this declaration is brought to you by Positive Talk Radio. And welcome back to the show, everybody. My name is Kevin. Brachelle's right there. And Tracy, I got to ask you, what did you think of that piece?
It was beautiful. I loved it.
That is...
we are better together.
We're better together, and we can declare that we are no longer going to be ruled by separation, hate, division, and fear. Yeah. And then we can work together for the peace of everyone. And I don't know if you know this, but especially right now, there's a lot of that other stuff going on and stuff.
A lot of yucky stuff.
And that is a technical term, I do believe, yucky stuff. But
Yucky stuff, it is.
But Michelle, I'm turning it over to you, and I know you have a question for Tracy.
Well, I would like to backtrack and learn maybe about some of the things that you have learned are new ways of getting to the other side and transforming these things, because a lot of us think it's hard or that there's only so many options available.
Well, first I'm going to say it is hard. It's not easy. But you know, I can tell you that getting to the other side is so worth it now that I know what I know. I getting to the other side, and it really does. It opens up so many doors for, like, you'll find your tribe once you start your healing journey. All these new people are going to start coming into your life that you never even knew existed, to support you and things like that. But honestly, the biggest thing for me I've had to learn is not to be so hard on myself. Like, there's nothing wrong with the journey I'm on and the pace it's going. It's doing that. That's my pace. And it might not be as fast as somebody else's journey, but that's okay. But one thing too, that, between the meditation, the journaling, I'm doing hypnotherapy. I still meet with my therapist. I actually have a session scheduled with her Friday. But when we meet, it's not therapy. Like, I'm on the couch and we're doing talk therapy. We actually work on breath work and we work on, different things like that. And we talk about, like, how my journaling's going. Like, it's more that kind of a therapeutic session with her. And it's so important to do that because she makes me feel so safe. So I'm really happy to still be doing that with her. But it really does just take baby steps. And it could just be the fact of, like, okay, I've got some work to do. It could be that simple. And it's just the little tiny steps you take every day. And don't beat yourself up. Like, healing isn't for the weak. It's not, and you're strong and you can handle it. And it takes a lot of bravery. And, every day that you're trying to do better and be better, give yourself credit for that. Like, that's, I think, half the battle, is to be able to pat yourself on the back. Like, you know what? I'm a freaking rock star. I'm a badass. That's why I started Trauma Rock Stars, because I wanted people to know, like, you are just trying to be the best version of yourself. So that's what makes you a trauma rock star. So just give yourself those pats on the back. It's okay to, like, be your biggest fan. You need to be, to go through this journey. But now that I've gone through it, like, I want more. I'm like, all right, what more do you have? I've been through the worst I'm going to go through.
Yep.
So bring it, like, tell me what else. Cause it almost gets a bit addicting.
Yes, it does. It does.
Because you're like, holy crap. Like, I just learned that about myself. What else can I learn? It's almost, it almost is like kind of like a little bit of an addiction, but in a positive twist. Yeah. But one thing too that I've thought about a lot, and I want to mention to you guys that we didn't bring up last time, is one thing I had to learn going through this is I kind of was going through a grieving period, because I was grieving the life before I got on this other side of, my healing journey. So I was grieving that person that is, like, because I'm so different now than I was a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. I'm so different. So I was grieving that a little bit, but then I was also grieving that person that maybe I could have been if I hadn't gone through all this. Like, what would my life have been like if I hadn't have gone through all this? So I almost had to allow myself to have a little bit of a pity party about that. Because where would I be? What would I be doing? But I love what I'm doing now and having this platform to try and help others and spread the word. But I had to allow myself, it was okay for me to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really had to give myself that time to grieve those two different, it's almost like two different lives, one that I had and one that I could have had,
Mhm.
and then embrace the one I have now.
Well, and I wanted to ask you, because you just brought up how important it was to admit that you need help and not even know where to look for it, but community. But did you ever hit a point to where you were just like, you know what, I'm so uncomfortable all the time that that's my comfortable. So when you get in situations where you all of a sudden feel too comfortable for too long, you're like, something's not moving,
Well,
or any of that?
I suppressed it for 40 years. So, I mean,
This is
40,
nonstop.
don't be me. Don't suppress it for 40 years, please. But
But Tracy, I got to stop you there, because that's part of your journey. That's
yes,
part of what has made you the incredibly powerful woman you are today, is that journey. And sometimes it takes a little time.
yeah.
Nobody, Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say.
Mhm.
And
Volcanoes
some
don't
people,
erupt in a day either. It took you 40 years for you to build that momentum so you could explode.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I'm, that saying, like, don't look back, it's only for time travelers. But you do have to look back a little bit, because you have to go through, you have to allow yourself, like, there's all these different stages of grief. And I'm like, I never in a million years would have thought I would have been grieving for myself. And I think I told you one of the biggest lessons I learned when I went through the MDMA therapy, and I still journal about this, is I had to learn to forgive myself
Hmm.
for choices I made, for people I allowed in my life, for bullshit that I put up with for years to people that I shouldn't have. Like, why? Like, not knowing my worth. So I had to forgive myself for all that stuff. So you have to allow yourself to go through all this, but look at it this is happening in a positive way for you.
Yeah. Well, and Kevin said something that rearranged the way I viewed what you just said. And he told me, if you don't forgive yourself, you're not truly moving on, and you can't make the change you
Yeah,
already decided on. So you're
right.
holding yourself by fighting you're still in chains. And I let myself just sit down for a minute.
Yeah. Well, and you owe it to yourself. Like, the universe, everything's energy. We were talking about this. Everything's about energy, and the universe needs your authentic self. It
Yep.
needs you to be your authentic self, because it's so important. You think, oh, well, I'm just like a little pebble of sand in this huge world. You don't know how powerful your energy is. And don't wait. Like, the time is now to do it. There's no time to not, like, and live your best life and be the best that you can be. And I think that you might lose some people along the way, but some new people are going to come in that are going to be incredible, and that's all okay. That's just part of it.
Yeah. Well,
well,
if you can spend that much time making it hard, then spend the time making it easier.
Right.
and Tracy, I got to tell you, one thing that Rochelle always wanted to do was travel a little bit, and because of working on this show and meeting great people like you and some of the others, Nika would be one. She's developing a whole new group of people and friends that she feels positively ecstatic about, because they resonate
Yeah.
at the vibrational level that she
Yeah.
aspires to be at.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It will transform because it's not just, hey, did you ever realize this, Tracy, that you would get in relationships, and however they were right there at the beginning, however that person is, that's who you get. That's just it. There's not going to be a lot of change or
Yeah.
movement. But when you step to the other side and you make these relationships with people, things are always growing, always changing, always happening, but it's so positive all the time.
All the time. And everything, when you look back at things like that too, Rochelle, everything's a mirror.
That made me crazy. We don't even need to talk about that.
Well, it's true. It can make
Yes,
you,
it is.
it does make you crazy, but this is part of it. This is part
Yep.
of the journey, because I'm like, oh, okay, well, I understand. It was just reflecting back to me how I was feeling, or what my energy level was, that I didn't even realize, because it's also deep in your subconscious.
Yep.
But it really is like a mirror of what you're projecting out there is what you get back. And the universe, people, is waiting for you. They're just waiting for you to bust out.
Yep.
Tracy, I got to ask you, because when I was 42, I had the question. And the question was, why am I here? And what am I here to do?
Yeah.
And when I ask that question, I feel like, I think one of my guides' name is Benjamin, and it may be some variation of that. But I got the feeling that on the other side, they said, when I asked that question, they said, it's about dang time, finally. Now we can
They've
do
been
the
waiting
things.
for you.
Yes, they've been waiting for me to reach the point in my life where I was willing to open up and say, why am I here? And what am I here to do? And this ain't it. And so they led me on a 23, 24-year journey now that has taken us to this very moment in time where I get to have this great conversation with Tracy and Rochelle.
Yeah. And it's so funny because that's what everybody said. They're waiting. They're waiting for you. They just need you to be open to it. And it's so funny you said that, because I just bought a money tree and I named it Benjamin because Benjamin Franklin's on the $100 bills. So I named him. It's so funny you said Benjamin. I literally just bought a money tree and I named him Benjamin. So every morning I'm like, good morning, Benjamin.
That's perfect. And Rochelle has stepped out for a few minutes because they were doing some fire things and stuff. So but I expect her to be back at any moment. But in the meantime, Tracy and Trauma Rock Stars is the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about you and your work. How long have you been doing the podcast now?
It launched in July. So it hasn't been quite a year yet, but it's been doing incredible. And I drop a new episode every Thursday. A new episode drops. So, and it's all like amazing guests. I've got some really exciting guests coming in the future too, like actual rock stars coming on and stuff.
So, can you drop any names?
Nope.
Not a chance, huh? Well, I'm excited for you. This is a fascinating journey that you're on, and it really becomes part of your DNA, don't you think?
It does, and it's almost like I don't want to say this sound in a negative way, but it's almost like kind of like a crusade, you know, not to make it a negative spin on it, but it's like, yeah, this is my journey now. Like, this is the second half of my life, and this is what it is. And, you know, and I'm really wanting to start doing more keynote engagements.
As you should.
And things like that, because I think it's really important to get in front of people like in person, you know, to with that energy and things. So I'm working with somebody on that now. So I'm going to start doing some keynotes and things like that. So I think it's because I want people to understand, like, you don't need a hero. You are your own hero. So it's, you know, people need to realize that and stop depending on others. You have all the tools you need internally.
Well, and the reality is that nobody else can help you like you can help yourself.
Right. 100%.
And that a lot of people have got real trouble understanding that it is who they are, and that the stories that have been told about them to them by other people over time are all a lie. They don't matter. And you need to dispel those stories in order for you to create different stories for yourself in a real positive way. Because that's how your growth happens, isn't it?
It is. You're not who other people say you are. You're whoever you want to be. Don't worry about what I know that there's people that have been through trauma from things people have said to them when they were children, or that has resonated, like Rochelle was just talking about. You don't even realize it. Sometimes people don't even realize they've been suppressing things like that. But you be who you want to be and don't worry about what other people have wanted you to be in your life or who you're trying to live up to or make happy. You need to make you happy. We're on this earth right now once. We have other journeys and other lives. We've talked about that, but you have this one journey, so make it count. So then whatever happens next, you're even a better version of yourself.
And if you talk to people like Neil Donald Walsh and Gary Zukav and many others, John Edward, and
Mhm,
they'll tell you that this is a school for learning and that
mhm.
we are part of the universal consciousness, and everything that we are learning goes into that universal consciousness. But it's also our way of being able to achieve within this life. And I'm going to ask you this question: to achieve within this life what we set out to do before we were even born. Have you contemplated that? And is this what you have decided, or what you were about before you were even born, and what the contract that you put it together and signed?
I don't know because I haven't gotten that. That's why I was telling you I want to start digging deeper with the hypnotherapy and things like that because I want to. I don't know because I look at what happened, like with my accident. Was that always in the cards? Was that supposed to happen? I mean, I'd like to. I'm trying to dig deeper into that to find out, but I feel in my heart that this is where I've landed and this is where I was supposed to land. And this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It just, how when and it just feels right.
Oh, exactly. And by the way, when is the book coming out?
I knew you were going to ask me that. It's coming out this year. It is coming out this year. I've started work. Yeah, I think I told you last time I started working on my outlines. I've got a few chapters together, so it will be coming out this year. I just don't know if it's going to come out by summer. We'll see. But I knew you were going to ask me.
Well, and the time is inconsequential.
Yeah.
It is the content of what you're going to create that is so dynamic, and the universe will wait for when you're ready.
Well, and I never was going to write a book. I told you that was never in the cards.
I
And
know.
one of the guides came, actually, it was a medium told me, two different mediums on two different occasions. I wasn't even asking. They just offered me, but said that I need to write this book. And they were very specific about how it needed to be structured. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm writing a book. And that's how that all came to fruition. So it'll be out this year.
It's important that as part of your growth and as part of your teaching style,
Mhm.
that you write this book,
Mhm.
because there are people that one day will be saying, "There's this book by the trauma queen, and that's her, the trauma rock star, and you got to have this book."
Yeah.
And there are people that you will positively impact in the world. Berchelle, nice to see you again.
Yes, thank you. I don't know what happened, but I'm back. My internet wasn't working, and now it's back. And probably the alarm testing, but congratulations, 110,000% for embracing that journey and doing that, Tracy. I see that you've got quite some cool little things in you in the future.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm just trusting, the journey that this is on. Like I said, I was never, a year ago, if you told me I was going to have a podcast, I would have told you were nuts, let alone write a book. And now you hopped off, Rochelle, but I want to start doing more keynote events and things like that. So, I'm just kind of trusting where it goes, and things are just kind of happen. Like I'm working with a publicist, and I've got an agent that's reached out to me, and things are just kind of happening naturally, so I'm not chasing after anything. Like we don't chase anyway.
Right.
Things just happen when they're supposed to happen. So I'm excited, but this is all part of healing because it opens up doors for you. Like Rochelle, did you ever think you'd be partnering with Kevin? And it opens up doors that you never even would have a million years thought of.
And quickly
And
it happens.
It
I
happens.
told Kevin I was almost overwhelmed because I went from this negative state of heaviness to this gratitude state of heaviness. Did you experience that too? And is that normal? Do people say that, or am I crazy?
No, that's part of the shift.
Yeah.
You go from looking at things in a negative context to living your life with gratitude. And really, I'm actually just finishing living the power of now book. I'm just finishing it now, but it's so true. Like, we do have to live now and just not worry about tomorrow. Like, let things will just happen and fall in line when they're supposed to, and don't rush it.
Did I tell you the story about the 4-time cancer survivor? Tell me if I did.
No, you didn't tell me. You might have told Rochelle.
Tell her.
In 2003, you remember Gilda Radner?
The actress?
And comedian? Yes.
Yeah, vaguely, yes.
She passed away from cervical cancer, and there's a program that Gene Wilder started, and it's Gilda Radner's got his name on it, and it's a cancer survival group, and they work to help people that have had cancer. When I was doing the show in 2003, we had several ladies from that group on, and one was a 4-time cancer survivor. And I said, "You survived cancer 4 times?" She said, "Yes." And I said, "What is that like?" And she said, "Well, I can only put it to you this way. When you have one foot in the past and you have one foot in the future, you're peeing on the present. Don't pee on the present."
It's so true.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said, "I live every day like it's my last day, because one day it will be."
Mm-hmm.
And so consequently, I don't worry about the small stuff. The stuff that we all worry about and stress about that we can't do anything about, I don't worry about any of that, because I can't control it anyway. So do what you can control and go from there, and you'll be just fine. Do you agree with that?
I do. It goes back to everything is in your nervous system. Like, so you need to pick up the cues that your body's telling you. Like, you say that, and she'll probably, if she ever got diagnosed again, she'll survive that. She would have. Is she still with us?
I don't know. This was 23, 24 years ago.
Yeah, but she's got that mind frame that she'll survive anything. And that's kind of how I feel, because I always said, like, with me suppressing all this trauma for 40 years, how did I not get an autoimmune disease or something worse? But now moving forward, I'm like, I won't, because my body is amazing, and I'm not going to get, and if I do, I'll be fine. I'll get over it. I'm strong enough up here to do it.
Isn't it crazy? You just said you went from one survival mentality to the other.
Yeah.
And wow. That's those 2 words put in that phrase is mind-blowing. It's possible. And that's literally why I do this every day with Kevin. And I'm guessing you feel that same way. And that's why you love doing the podcast and all these things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, the power of the mind, but it's not just your mind. You have to pick up on the cues from your body and what it's trying to tell you. And you really need to dig deep into those cues of what it's trying to tell you, like in the certain environment you're in, or if it's something you heard or a smell even that can trigger, we all get triggered, but you need to listen to those cues your body's telling you. And that's where I say, that's where the journaling helps, because you can start writing, okay, I'm getting this pain in my back. What is it telling me? What do I need to do? And you'll start to rediscover yourself all over again. Like, it's like a total new introduction.
Yeah, it's remarkable. By the way, Rochelle, we've been talking with Tracy, haven't we?
Yes, we have. Tracy Smaldino has been our guest. And Tracy, please do tell us all the ways that people can find you, the podcast, and the book when it's coming out. We have to have you back because we're never done. Right, Kevin?
And that's right. And the website, do we have a website yet?
No, I know you gave me homework last time.
It's okay. You've gotten so much done.
Honey, my team can help you with that if you have a mind to, and we can do. You are, dare I say it, you're one of those.
I've heard that. You told me that before, and I'm still trying to figure out what that means. But thank you.
What that means is that you were put here for a reason. And the reason that you are here and what you've gone through in life is to help people recognize that they can also get through it, because you can now be instructive for them on a better way of being and a better way of living. And that's part of the process. And that's why you are here. So that's why you are one of those.
Thank you. It's been a really rewarding journey. It's been lots of tears, lots of uneasiness, but it's been so rewarding too. And to answer your question, Rochelle, I am on all platforms. Trauma Rockstars is on all platforms. The videos are all on YouTube, and then audio on all the other ones, and then all social media. Everything's Trauma Rockstars. So if you can reach out to me, I will actually be responding to you. It won't be AI or a robot. And you can email me, podcast@traumarockstars.com. A lot of people email and send private messages because it's, there's a lot of sensitive subjects. But I'm very readily available, and thank you everybody who does reach out. And I hope that, even if one person listening is like, if she can do it, I could do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Yes. Trust me. I was a hot mess.
And now you're not.
And no, I'm not. Now I'm fabulous.
There's two of us to tell you that. So
thank you.
Exactly. And I have to ask you one last important question before we go. Did we suck this time?
No, you're awesome every time I'm on. It's amazing.
Wow, boy, that's a relief, isn't it, Rochelle?
What if somebody were to say this whole hour sucked and I'm not coming back?
I would say you do not resonate with us and don't deserve this platform to be on.
Thank you for your time and considerations out the door. Bye-bye.
Or we triggered them, and that's just maybe an opportunity for them to let it all marinate and think about maybe, starting their own journey, because we don't judge.
That is the appropriate response. I'm sorry I said that. What you said is the appropriate response, because everybody is at their own place, at their own time, in their own way, and is up to them to determine when they're going to make that fundamental shift. And when you decide to make that fundamental shift, the universe is there saying, it's about dang time.
Yep. It's waiting for you.
Yep. And when you make that fundamental switch, what ends up happening is things will just magically start to appear for you. So be looking for songs, be looking for a billboard, be looking for the person that you just get to meet. The universe just opens up, unless of course it doesn't. That's it tomorrow. I said that. But it will. Tracy and Rochelle, go through her information one more time, including the website that's not there yet, which we're going to have to work on.
Kevin.
Well, everybody stay tuned and keep track, because next time there will be a website and hopefully a book as well. But Kevin, thank you for making these conversations all possible. And Tracy, again, thank you for spending your time with us. We love and adore you. And thank you for bringing such a good space that is so healing and safe, as Kevin does on your podcast, for people to explore who they are and to share their stories, because I think that's kind of where it starts, is when we start sharing our story with ourselves and then figuring out how we want it to look. So thank you everybody who joined in through this podcast, who's been here with us. We love you. And just come back next time, because before you know it, Tracy will be here.
And thank you, Tracy. You are one of those.
Thank you, my
Thank
friend.
you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.